blessing. So when I run into rejection, I know it's only redirection. I see the blessings right beside me. The chances of quitting are likely. I do it like I'm in my Nikes. Don't make excuses, they never excite me. Boxes, boxes, I cannot fit in the boxes. Stop it, stop it. Quitting was never an option. Exhausted, exhausted. This passion is never exhausted. And you cannot stop it. Nah, you cannot stop it.
Good morning, Knicks universe. Welcome back to another episode of the Knicks Morning Brew on this Wednesday, December 13th. Like always, I'm your guy Hector, hanging out with my compadres. I got my guy Mr. Phil All Caps. I got my guy Mr. Jerry Ferrara, and the one and only Celso Porto is in the building. Fellas, how we doing?
Yo, Jerry,
you stole my I'm hyped up.
Got ready.
This is like I don't know what to do with my hands. Let me show I'm fired up and get some heat.
Like that was perfectly timed, man. It looked
I'll
good.
give it to you today because you're flu gaming it a little bit. So I'll give it to you today.
Let's go. All right. If I pass out on stream,
you don't got to worry about Jerry hitting you with a Draymond elbow. You all good.
Oh, speaking of Draymond, bro, we're 18 subs away from $2,000 or 2K subs. Guys, smack it like you Draymond Green. Just hit it. Just punch.
I was about to say, how are you going to connect Draymond Green to asking people to subscribe to our channel? But you landed the plane.
Yeah,
you landed the plane.
You landed the plane.
And Phil, it's been a while since the mute button. All right.
Hey, I'm going to get emails from a bunch of people invoicing us with their computer because they said that they punched the subscribe button because people told them to, and now we have to cover it. But real quick, I want to give a shout out. That song and the intro, Boxes by Wes Harris, that always gets me super pumped up. And then Hector comes in with the everybody, and I'm like, yo, I feel
that is a horrible impersonation of me, bro.
It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad.
Horrible. Before
I kind of fell off there a little bit, but it's all good.
You good. Shout out to the chat. We got about like 12 people in the building. If you guys can, smack that like button. And like Celso was saying, we are 18 subs away from our goal of 2,000. We always like to throw it out there that we started this channel at the beginning of the year with the idea of getting to 2,000 subs before the year is over. We got to the first 1,000 and we right there about to hit 2K. I'm feeling good this morning. You know, I know Mitchell Robinson is out.
If you're watching on my X feed, you can watch here. That's cool. Love to have you. But also, you know, maybe you want to spread the love to, maybe you want to be Mr. or Mrs. 2000.
Oh, yeah.
So if you time it out right, hit that sub button on the YouTube, maybe you could get to Mr. or Mrs. 2000. So let's go. But either way, let's lock in.
You know what? We should do a special like cameo to that 2,000 subscriber, right? We'll find out who it is. We'll watch it during the show if it happens. We'll record our own Knicks Morning Brew cameo that gets text to them. A morning wake-up call.
Nice. But like Celso was saying, when we get to 2,000, I know, right? We will be doing a 2,000 giveaway, so you guys are going to want to tune in for that. Make sure you guys sub to the channel. Shout out to my guy, Stapper Don in the building. Wow. Stapper, how you doing? Double A is in the building. Salute. My guy, Eric Wallace, Savage NYC, how you doing? The Wiz Kid himself is in the building. Wiz, how you doing? Forever Knicks is in the building. Like I said, Nick P, salute. But Jerry, you weren't here. Celso, you weren't here when we got the news about Mitchell Robinson, right? So, Jerry, I want to throw it over to you because right when the news broke, you hit our group text up talking about we got a problem. So let the people know how you feel about Mitchell Robinson and the injury.
Well, just to also put it out there, there's been 2 times in my life where something came in through the phone and my wife thought a family member died. The first one was we were in Florida and I was at a Whole Foods when the Porzingis trade hit. And there's a picture of this. I'll dig it up for you guys. I had my little basket. We were on a little mini vacay, had my phone. I saw the trade and I dropped the basket. My kombucha burst all over on the floor.
Not the kombucha.
And then when the Mitchell injury hit, I don't know what I was doing, but I literally was looking at my phone. I dropped my phone and I went, we went, who's dead? What happened? I'm like, Mr. Robinson's like out for 10 weeks. She's like, you're an idiot, Jerry. You're an idiot. So yeah, I didn't. It obviously hurt because I was having a great season, and you hear ankle surgery 8 to 10 weeks for a 7-footer. Not really something you don't like anything below the hip with a 7-footer. And yeah, I don't even remember him doing it. That's why I even hit like, I didn't remember seeing that in the game. I knew about Brunson, obviously. I didn't know if that was even a thing. So, and I immediately started thinking of the lineups and what's going to happen. Jericho Sims. I'm like, we got to be on Taj Gibson watch. You start hearing all the names, but I think Tibbs handled it well. The team bounced back, and we just wish Mitchell Robinson a speedy recovery. But yeah, it's a bummer. It's a fucking bummer.
Yeah.
My guy.
The biggest thing too is, we were before the injury, we were worried already about the defense not looking so great.
Right.
And this kind of forces us into that, like, oh, wait a minute, the defense can be a big problem.
Are we an offensive team now? Which is scary thoughts. That's a scary thought.
We're giving up mad points, but we're scoring a lot of points, right? Which it's crazy because last week, you guys know, I was just like, don't talk to me about DeRozan or any of that. And now I'm in the situation where I'm like, well, if we're not a defensive team anyways, maybe it is worth going to get them. But I think the biggest story is, we talked all season leading up to this that we felt we had the best center group in the league when it comes to depth, right? We love what iHeart brings. We all are excited about Sims. Now we're going to have to see it. It's time for the big men to step up. I always feel like iHeart's going to give us good things offensively, but we're going to hurt on that defensive side big time.
So here's the thing, though, is if you look at iHeart, I think one of the things that has actually been good for us is even though Mitch has been getting all these accolades and acclaims for Defensive Player of the Year, there's not a massive drop-off. It hasn't been a massive drop-off when iHeart has come into the game. And that's why a lot of people are, assuming that we might not be able to re-sign him because with the way that iHeart is playing, he could go and start somewhere else because he's showing so much potential. And one thing I think is really cool is that, like, in the midst of everything that's happened, the team has kind of rallied around Mitchell Robinson to make this process a little bit easier. You saw all the guys in warmups wearing the shirt. And then there was actually a quote that I screenshotted, shout out to New York basketball account. But Quentin Grimes was talking to Monica McNutt, and he said, yeah, it's tough. Mitch is really the heart and soul of this team. We got to come together collectively and try to make up for him. And that's what they did. They started to actually come together as a team. We saw 36 assists. But this is another cool part is they talked about like Jericho coming in. And to see that they have the same respect and love to try and see Jericho succeed, Grimes said, that's my dog. He's my draft day guy. He'll get his feet wet. Everybody knows what he's capable of. He'll have some big games and probably win us some of the games on the road for sure. So it's cool to see, like, in the midst of Mitchell being gone, they're supportive, they're missing him, but they're also saying, we got to step up. And next guy up is Sims, and we know what he's capable of, and we really believe in him. Regardless of what everyone else thinks, we believe in him.
Even Julius Randle, right? He said, don't worry, big fella, rest up. We got you, So it's good that the team feels like, hey, we can weather the storm, for the next 2 months. But I was, what did you guys think, Hector, when you saw Sims out there the other night?
Listen, when it comes to Jericho Sims, he's a 6'10" center with crazy athleticism. He could jump out the gym, right? When it comes to Isaiah Hartenstein having to step up, I think when you had both Mitch and Hartenstein, it was perfect because with Mitchell Robinson not getting into foul trouble, this is something I was pointing out, it allowed Hartenstein to become more aggressive, not having to worry about, okay, I can't get fouled out if Mitchell Robinson is in foul trouble. Now with Jericho Sims, he has to go back. He can't be as aggressive because Jericho Sims could get into foul trouble very easily, and you don't want to put all that on Isaiah Hartenstein having to play the entire game or him getting into foul trouble as well. And who we gonna put back? Who gonna put in center? Josh Hart? If both
Jericho Sims and he's a 4. He's not a 5. Remember, he's a 4.
Oh yeah, I apologize for that. No, but it's going to be next man up mentality. Like Jerry said, we are on the Taj Gibson watch. Shout out to the Gibson family and my guy, Aja Gibson. I messaged him immediately and told him, make sure you get your brother out to the gym and get him warmed up. We need him back in the garden.
Hey, but, Taj said he's staying in shape. He said he's game ready, let's do it.
Yeah, but, hopefully going forward, we can fix up our defensive mishaps. On the offensive side on the offensive boards, Toronto was killing us in the last game. They're not a very good offensive team, and we gave up 130 points to them. So I'm just nervous when it comes to that. What about you, Jerry?
I just look, I was wondering too, is it worth keeping Hartenstein on the bench and Sims starting? Like, I did examine that, and at first I kind of was a little surprised just knowing Tibbs. I'm like, he's just gonna always want to put the guy he's most comfortable in. But then it makes sense because Sims is way more of a comp to Mitchell Robinson. Hartenstein does completely different things. Sims, I'm not saying he's as good or the same as Mitch, but they sort of do the same things. And offensively, you know, you don't really have to rely. Like, Hartenstein makes some good passing decisions that Mitch doesn't really have to make. So that completely worked for me. Yeah, look, it's the old, like, stay ready so you never have to get ready. This is why when you're like, oh, why are we holding on to Sims for? He's in the G League, he's in Westchester, like, whatever. And this is the exact reason why. It's a long season. These injuries happen. He comes right in, and I think he's enough. If we remember, I think it was the year we had our first kind of breakout year when we lost to the Hawks in the playoffs. But, you know, we lost Mitchell Robinson pretty much the whole year. And Nerlens Noel came out of nowhere and had a really good year. Was on like all defensive team talks and basically did a Mitch Robinson impersonation, right? If we could get a little bit of that, Jericho, I think, has even more potential. If we could get that, I think it'll be fine. I'm more interested too because we didn't really. Now we have a game. I don't want to jump ahead, so you let me know if we're done on the Mitchell stuff. Because what did we think about the lineup switch?
So here's the one thing that's really, really weird. Someone said something that made a lot of sense, and as a dad, I think you can relate to this, Jerry. My wife actually just left to our storage unit with 2 bins of toys because it seems like every time our kids have too many toys, they only want to play with like 1 or 2 of them. But when you cut them down and you give them limited toys, everything gets played with. It's like, wait a minute. The fact that you have 50 toys in the room, you only want to play with 4 of them. But now that there's 10 toys in the room, you want to play with all 10. And that's how Tibbs is with our rotation. It's like when he has a plethora of options, it's like, I'm only going to play certain things. I'm only going to do certain rotations. And then all of a sudden, pieces are gone. We lose Quickley. We use Mitch. We have a Jalen who's semi-injured. And all of a sudden, Tibbs is like, hey, you, come on in. You haven't played in a while. Hey, you, come on in. Hey, you guys have never played together. Come on in. And for most of them, I've liked it. The concerning rotation for me, though, has been the hot hand RJ these last few games getting sat down. Like, it makes it hard for me to like give flowers when I also want to slap Tibbs at the same time for that. So it's like, here's that and that at the same time, so it's weird.
Like Julian Blum just said in the chat, Tibbs is like, hey, I remember you. Get on the floor. Go out there. Let's get some minutes out of you. But no,
we still pay that guy? Cool. Come on in, buddy. Let's go.
Shout out to Tom from Huntington in the building. Tom, how you doing? Salute. Julian Blum. That was a funny take right there. My guy Knicks are nice. To your point, Phil, I definitely agree with you. When it comes to the rotation, you're seeing players that we haven't seen in a while. Deuce McBride was on the court as well. Jericho Sims getting the start, I thought was amazing because, like you said, Jerry, yes, Mitchell Robinson is but Jericho Sims, he can do some of the things that Mitchell Robinson can do. He's not at the same level as Mitchell Robinson, but when it comes to a comp, you can see why he started Sims over Hartenstein because Hartenstein works so well with that second unit. And talking about a second unit, we got to talk about Quentin Grimes because Quentin Grimes showed up and he started shooting the lights out and he remembered how to score the basketball. And as a Knicks fan, we've been worried about Quentin Grimes for this start of the season. You see the new starting rotation with Dante DiVincenzo in the starting rotation, him not getting a lot of shots, maybe due to who's out there on the floor with him. But I think this was the perfect confident booster for Quentin Grimes going forward. I know Immanuel Quickley was out. It gave him more of a leeway with that second unit. He's questionable for today. So let's see what happens with Immanuel Quickley. But with Quentin Grimes, super excited to see what we got out of Grimes, guys.
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, you. Please.
Well, again, I love the fact that we harped on this for a while, right? And people were taking it as, oh, you're a Grimes hater. No, we just said, hey, pretty sure on that second unit it would work. Now the angle is, oh, well, now DiVincenzo shots it down. No, Grimes is putting up more points. He's running with that second unit. It looks good there. DiVincenzo is doing what he has to do and running back and forth and doing what he can. I still think it works perfectly with him in that second unit. Best game by far all season. But my thing is this all of a sudden going to be now he comes back into the starting unit because he had a blow-up game? I don't want to see it happen, Jerry. I want to see him stay with that second unit and let him find himself.
It's so crystal clear, though, and this is going to be a blessing and a curse in some ways, okay? You want to start? You're not going to get shots. It's just the bottom line. Between Brunson, RJ, Randle, if you are starting at whatever it is, small forward, whoever's playing what position, you're not going to get shots. DiVincenzo had 2 shots. So I think this was a good fix because they almost have flip-flop numbers. The difference, though, I think look, you're asking a lot of DiVincenzo on a maturity level. You're saying, hey, we want you to start. And in turn, you're going to give up shots. You're going to have to probably play defense on starting players. So your defensive output's going to have to be better. And we need you to do things that are not scoring. And if you look, I think he had 6 assists in the game against Toronto. Quentin Grimes, even when he's only getting 2 shots, rarely does he put up 6 assists. He doesn't get to the free throw line. Exactly. So maybe the roles are better like this because DiVincenzo, with having only 2 shots, still can impact. And Grimes impacts the game defensively. I'm more so talking about offensively. DiVincenzo could still offensively affect the game. He doesn't seem to get thrown by only getting 2 shots and I'm way out of rhythm. And, and maybe that's just a maturity thing. But so I'm curious to continue to watch this because, if Grimes starts averaging his 10 points a game and playing good defense and shooting and getting his 8-9 shots a game that DiVincenzo was getting, maybe everybody's happy. Does that keep everyone happy? At some point, does DiVincenzo say, I miss shooting 8 times a game? I don't know. I don't think he's that kind of player.
Exactly. And real quick, Phil, before you go, because I saw it in your face. I saw the eyebrow went up and everything. Knicks are nice. I still ride with that Chenzo gang. We've been preaching it for months, bro.
All day, baby.
All day. But, that's the thing, though. Like, you can still see it. Even though he's not putting up as many shots and points, he's getting the ball because they trust to pass to him. And then he moves it around. So, as a whole, it was a better move for the team completely. And that's what we were asking for, right? It wasn't right off Grimes. No, look, this is what everybody loves about Grimes. So those that are on the Grimes hive, you're getting what you want. You're seeing him score. You're seeing him run around. You're seeing him do his thing. And now it seems like there's more freedom there for him. And DiVincenzo will get in that rhythm and put the points up when he needs to. But the assists are huge, man. So I just want to make sure I said that because Knicks are nice. Him and I have been getting shit on for months when we started with the Grimes talk.
But real quick, and I'll throw it over to Phil to piggyback off of what both Jerry and Celso Joe said. When it comes to DiVincenzo, he understands his role in the NBA because of the years he's been in the league, right? He understands what his offensive game is and what he can do on the court. When it comes to Quentin Grimes, like Jerry said, defensively, he's going to give you it all. But when it comes to his offensive game, he has to find what he is. And being with that second unit, it gives him a lot more freedom to be an independent scorer and go out there to get those buckets, build your confidence, and find what your game is. Go ahead, Phil. My fault.
Yeah, no, you're good. So I'm gonna be petty real quick.
Pettysaurus Rex.
We haven't been fired up yet. Let's turn on. Let's turn on.
Drink your water, folks. Phil's getting petty.
It's time to be petty, all right? Because when you go into like some Twitter Spaces and stuff like that, people are like, "Oh, these analysts are listening to us and they're claiming that our takes are their takes." I remember before DiVincenzo was even an option, a lot of us and recap were talking about why Grimes would be better off the bench. And I got crucified by so many people who are now in Twitter Spaces saying, yeah, I knew that Grimes was going to come off the bench and be a win. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You know how many times you publicly told me I was an idiot for thinking that Grimes would thrive off the bench and how his value was going to go down and how no one was going to take him seriously and this, that, and whatever. And now you're claiming that it was your thoughts. It's ridiculous. But anyway, so here's my thing about Grimes. With Grimes, shout out to Tommy Beer. He had this post. Quentin Grimes stats in his last 7 games as a starter combined, 16 points. Okay. 16 points in 7 games on 28 field goal attempts in 140 minutes. So he had a usage rate of 9.4. Off the bench, Quentin Grimes stats in 2 games, 32 points. So 7 games, 16 points, 2 games, 32 points on 21 attempts and in 46 minutes with a usage rate of 21.9. This was the key to unlocking Quentin Grimes. Quentin Grimes is a flow, is a rhythm kind of player. He is not a catch and shoot kind of player. If you look, yes, Dante hasn't had the greatest games, but we've seen him in the starting unit flourish already. So we know that it's just like an up and down. However, if you look at Dante's role, that's always pretty much been Dante's role. Like on the championship teams he's been part of, catch, shoot, and at times drive and dish. Like that's what he's good at. So we had Quentin Grimes in a role that didn't fit him. Now Dante's in that role and will fit him. And I think it will be best. Here's the concern though. I don't know if you guys saw, but Fred Katz had an article where he said there are people inside the Knicks front office who understand a too many guys situation could be brewing, according to league sources. Grimes is griped about his role to reporters. Hart spoke a few games prior, but also Quickley's not content with playing 24 minutes in a game in a contract year, and DiVincenzo's playing time is down from last season with Golden State. So you have all these guys, but apparently there's a bit of disgruntled, players when it comes to their roles and how many minutes they're playing. So hopefully this switch is something that sticks, because now you see Grimes getting the more minutes, playing a different role. You see Dante getting more minutes with the starting unit. Hopefully that fixes those two. Josh Hart is playing completely different now. So hopefully that fixed that issue too. And we just need to embrace the fact that Quickley's probably not going to resign. So that's, but that is a concern when you have Fred Katz saying that there's some disgruntled, people within our.
Phil really just wanted to freaking just dump it all on us.
He's
right.
Bam! He chose violence this morning. He definitely chose violence.
Sometimes you gotta choose violence. And
I'm the Grinch. What not everyone can be all like rainbows and wrapping paper and Eddie Presti Christmas wrap shirts. Some of us.
And not only is he the Grinch, he's not even the Pharrell 2017 Grinch. He's the 1975 kind of creepy, to the point where your kids didn't even watch the Grinch.
Yeah.
Like me.
Yeah.
No, Phil, you're right. And I did read the Fred Katz piece as well. And look, I don't know if that's also smoke with not a lot of fire. Usually when there's smoke, there's fire, right? And it could just be pulling the Grimes. Maybe it's just one person and Fred has a great story based off that. Fred's a great reporter, so I trust what he's writing. At some point, whether it's this year or in the offseason, I do think decisions will have to be made. You are not going to be able to keep DiVincenzo, Hart, Grimes, Quickley. It just won't work. Contracts are coming up. You just re-sign guys. So I don't think we're letting Quickley walk. There's probably a world. I don't know. And this is where you need to talk to a Fred Katz. Is it a sign and trade because we have the restricted, where you get something back before letting him walk out of the door for nothing? But yeah, at some point, there's not enough minutes to go around, especially with Tibbs, who once he's your guy and he's locked in, he doesn't really break line. That's why the switch that he made with DiVincenzo and Grimes. And look, I'm gonna pat Tibbs on the back for a second if he's gonna take some heat on the show. He does adjust. We saw it when I think it was last year and the team was struggling. We were under 500 to start the year, and he just made some moves and defined some roles, and it worked. So I do think he makes the adjustments, even if it's a little too late. It does come. And but yeah, I do think there is a too many guy situation. I don't know if you can keep this going. And it's really the Quickley piece more than anything. Yeah. Can you keep Quickley at 21 minutes a game on the bench? Is that the best thing for his career? And if you're probably Immanuel Quickley and his team, you're probably we love it in New York and we'll make money here, but you probably could go average 18 points a game and 6 assists and probably make even more money.
Yeah, but it's a good problem to have, right? When you have too many players, quality players that, you know, one, when it comes to Hart and when it comes to Dante DiVincenzo, they're both on tradable contracts. When you look at both of them, their contracts aren't that much of a hit. It's not, no team is going to want to regret trading for them, and they're solid players, solid role players in the NBA. So when you get to that off season, and like you said, Jerry, it's going to be that fork in the road, and the fork is going to be like, do we give Immanuel Quickley the bag and try to start him? Or do we try to trade him and maybe throw in Hart or DiVincenzo to see what we can get, because their contracts are tradable? And if you're a GM, this may be what makes or breaks your career in the offseason.
I don't see them moving on from Hart and Dante, though. Like,
No.
I feel like as
The Villanova boys.
Yeah, I don't feel like, as long as they play decent, you know, that's all the organization needs to justify, you know, giving Brunson what he wants, you know. And there's a theory going on, and I want to hear your guys' thoughts on it. But
Get your tinfoil.
The one concerning factor that people have with Mitch being out, and then like the guy stepping up, is if we end up playing well in this stint of games without Mitch, would the Knicks organization, since his contract is so minimal, would they consider moving on from him and packaging him for that stretch five that would make us, you know, that different team? Because if you look at it, a lot of people's theories, and it kind of makes sense, was that there wasn't really the massive logjam in the paint that we normally see when he wasn't in the starting lineup. And as much as we love Mitch and his defense, it did bring up some questions of, if there's not a logjam for the three other guys who are paint heavy when Mitch is not there, and we're actually able to add a stretch five who gives us some offense and some defense, like, is that worth doing? Like, I don't know. Like, I like Mitch, but maybe that is a solution if the paint frees up with one of the four guys that are always in the paint not being there anymore.
I want to just highlight something. Shout out to Double A with the 199 super chat, who says sometimes an injury, it just opens up opportunity. 100% Double A. Shout out to our guy Ron and John from Still Knick fans. Ron, how you doing, my guy? Ron had to go away. He's running away from work right now to message the chat. So shout out to Ron. We appreciate you being in the building. And shout out to Building Blocks, because this is the person who informed us of the Mitchell Robinson news while we were live on stream. Yeah. So Building Blocks, shout out to you. Thank you for always being in the chat and always engaging.
And back to Double A, is this the first one? Because like I'm new. I'm only been around since October. Phil, you got teed up. Double A teed you up on your take. You got the first technical foul. I don't know if that's the first one, but we should maybe start keeping track.
Jokic got teed up for less, you know. So I'll take it. You know, I'll take it.
Phil got teed up. Teed him up.
That's hilarious.
Now, Phil, as far as what you're saying, you know, obviously, yeah, we can joke around the tinfoil hat and all that, you know, and it's a conversation that can be had. My biggest thing right now is I'm just so focused on we're sold that we're a defensive team, and I'm not seeing that. So I feel like anything can change at this point, right? So it's crazy because, yes, we did see without Mitch being there, Julius went off. And you guys know me, any chance I can have that I can sit there and shout out Julius Randle, all right, and then get the hate that follows it, I'll take it. But even him saying when everyone's touching the ball in rhythm and playing unselfishly, that's when we are at our best offensively. You also can credit that a little
tweeted with Julius Randle. I'm sure this has been around for a while, but you know, everyone talks about overrated. He's overhated. He is the most overhated. I did not. Sorry, I'm forgetting the account that tweeted that, but or whatever posted that. Yeah, he's the most overhated player. But yeah, you know what, Phil, too, to your point though, with the Mitch Hartenstein thing, that's even the too many guys situation too. And you know how I feel about not wanting to make a trade for like a Donovan Mitchell, who I know we could sign, but at the end of the day, obviously got a clear cap to sign him, which you may just be better off than doing it sooner rather. So I'm kind of going back on what I'm saying. If you really do feel like, hey, we got too many guys, we got to clear up cap. If Mitchell's still a player that the Knicks want, then maybe it is Mitchell Robinson and IQ and stuff, like it becomes a minimal trade where it's like we're getting Mitchell and we're just clearing some cap space and some rooms on the deck because we have our 7-8 guys and we're locking that in defined roles. You know, maybe that does have. I was against any kind of a trade because of the Melo situation, but you know, it might, if it is a too many guy situation, maybe that's what you hold on for dear life for. You know, and you extend Quickley, and maybe Mitchell is a target in the off season now, and you extend Mitchell right away, you extend Quickley, and you put him as part of it, and maybe that's what the solution to the too many guys situation is.
You do the sign and deal with Cleveland, send IQ over to Cleveland, and we get back Donovan Mitchell. If Cleveland is where he wants to go, you know how I feel about the city of Cleveland, Jerry. I'm sorry.
Listen, I can tell you, being a man on the street over here with boots on the ground in Cleveland, look, they love Mitchell here. I don't know him well personally. I've met him a couple of times, and I don't know how he feels. But I think anything short of like Eastern Conference Game 7 or better is the only way I think they're keeping him, in my opinion. You know, they got to really show, hey, we're knocking on the door of a championship here, and the pieces are in place. Where you going? So, because they're quietly like 13-10, but it doesn't look great. And you know what I mean? Like him and it just doesn't quite look. It's like the Garland Mitchell issue and the Allen Mobley issue. So who knows? Maybe that's the answer to the too many guy situation. But I don't know. I like having too many. I'd rather have too many guys than not enough.
Yeah, especially quality guys too that are good. We don't have a bunch of scrubs. We have some good players.
Was it Ebony the other day that came on and was talking about every trade we talk about, everything? The fact is we keep going and getting people and putting them in a role that they're not supposed to be.
Right? Ebony brought that
and that's
up.
why I feel like we end up having so many different trade package ideas, because it's like, okay, well, if you moved Mitch, then you're opening it up in the middle. But if you hold Mitch and got rid of Julius, right, and this and that. So it's like every single thing to me at the end, it's like, if you were to sum it up, is we need to fix our system problem. Because it's a system problem. You're forcing guys into roles that aren't their roles. So if that's the case, whatever moves we make, why is it not make sure you make the moves that are going to fit the system? Because Tibbs isn't going anywhere.
Nope. To Phil's happiness, Tibbs is definitely not going anywhere. But Double A has something. I don't want to highlight it real quick in the chat. I'll throw it over to you, Phil, and then to Jerry after. But he said a report came out about the locker room issues with the team. You got the Nova Knicks versus Randle and RJ Knicks. If this is true or false, is this a false scenario, a false narrative that's being painted? Is this Knicks for clicks? Phil, what's your thoughts?
All I'm going to say is, if this is true, I'm going to change my name to Phil All Profit. All right? Because if you remember, the first episode of this season where I pretty much gave Jerry a heart attack was when I said, what continuity are we talking about? Is there going to be continuity of the guys that have been here versus continuity of the Nova Knicks? Is there going to be an issue? RJ and Randle are talking about RJ and Randle in all their pregame interviews. The Nova guys are talking about all the Nova guys. Is this going to be an issue over time? So if this does come out as an issue over time, I'm going to call myself a prophet, and we're going to keep on moving and try to profit off of me being a prophet.
And let's get some super chats so there's actual profit for Phil proclaiming.
Yes,
drop a super chat. Help us get the lights on.
Phil, you're absolutely right. If anyone was on the Nova Knicks potential problem, you were on that island first. And of all the people I know who talk Knicks, no one was really ever saying, "Hey, this could be an issue." But then Randle makes the agency switch, and all that stuff. So. I'd be curious, Double A, where that article or stories floating around, because I have not seen. I saw the too many guys one I have not seen that one. My heart is telling me it's Knicks for clicks, because I think this team does love each other
Well, it's funny because they try to make
I hope that's not true. That
try to make
that'd
it
be
for
problem.
everything, Jerry. You remember when you saw the clip? I think it was last month where Jalen Brunson's come in the room and he's dapping up, and they're like, "Why he only got a handshake with the Villanova boys? Why he ain't got no special handshake with everybody else?" I'm like, "Wait a minute!" They're like, "He didn't dap up Jaden the same way he dap." I'm like,
"This is why I'm so happy actors were never covered like athletes were." Because miserable.
It did come out where Jalen Brunson was actually doing a handshake with Randle's son, and it debunked that whole thing about Jalen, only being a Villanova boy.
Hopefully, these security guards at MSG, the security guards at MSG, they just be throwing out random stories just to get people fishing. Oh yeah, they're definitely
I know
the leaks.
Some of those guys.
Yeah. So you know what I'm talking about, Jerry. They just be throwing. You guys want to hear some info? Slide me a 50, and I'll give you some insight.
It's just like a bad '90s movie. Be like, next time I'm at the game, I'm gonna leak some shit. We're gonna flush it down the toilet, see if it comes out the other end. I always wanted that line in the movie. We're gonna flush it down the toilet, see if it comes out of the other end. I don't even know what the hell that means.
I just want to take a pause real quick to say we are sitting on 1,986 subscribers, 14 away from 2K. And if you guys can, make sure you stay hydrated, drink your water, check in on your peoples, make sure everybody's good. Jerry got to have the little PSA.
No, honestly, I love. That's not even a water bottle. You got a jug. I love it. I drink a lot of water, so. Yes, hydrate. Jug it, people.
But switching it up just to talk about Immanuel quickly, since we were talking about him, we got to talk about his injury because, like I said, he is questionable for later on today. I'm sorry. Immanuel Quickley listed as questionable with knee inflammation for tomorrow's game against the Utah Jazz. The injury report, Jordan Clarkson is out as well. Jeez. So when it comes to both teams are dealing with injuries, but hopefully we get Immanuel Quickley. Immanuel Quickley could be healthy because we need our guy coming off of the bench. He said, your man Heck got a fire hydrant. That's exactly what this is. This is a whole fire hydrant over here. This is the apparatus. That's what this is.
That's like he got that from Oakley's car wash.
Shout out Ebony in the chat. We were just talking about you, Ebony. How you doing? Go ahead, Phil. Talk on the IQ situation.
Yeah, so the IQ situation's a weird one, like very weird, because it comes at a time where half the fan base thinks that it's a no-brainer that we're going to re-sign him. Half of the franchise fans believe that he's a goner and there's no way that he really fits into the future of what we're doing. And it came at a weird time for either one, because if you're trying to bank your value and prove to the organization that you need to be here, you had pretty, 2 mediocre games and then all of a sudden you're out, So that's no good in building up your value to the organization, but that's also no good when it comes to building your value to the others that may be interested. You have 2 bad games, then you get injured. The team starts playing decent without you there. It didn't look like a massive fall off with the bench unit with you not being there. So now it's how does he fit when he comes back in? What does this mean for Grimes' touches? Because one thing that you'll see is a lot of people are starting to say that the one thing that they don't like about, how Jalen runs the point is that he thinks first about scoring. Well, now they're starting to say the same thing about Immanuel Quickley, that Immanuel Quickley has gone from a player that keeps his head up, looking for others, looking for, running the fast break, to now if I get a rebound, I'm trying to take it down to the other side before everyone gets there myself, So I don't know how he's really going to fit, in with this lineup now if he comes back. I want him to come back because I want to see what he can do. I really want to see how long he can sustain this of what he was doing early in the season. And I like the kid regardless. Either way, whether we keep him or we trade him, we need him in and we need him playing good. We either need him to build his value so that we get more in a trade, or we need him to build his value so that our team has a reason to keep him and we revolve, our second unit around him.
Well said.
I think to your point, Jerry, you was asking Double A. He put in the Chat Sports Knicks, who is a reputable channel. We had the guy Marshall come on. He had a great conversation with us. So if Marshall put it out there, want to believe that there's some truth behind it, not just Knicks for clicks, because Chat Sports, they just don't put anything. They're not putting clickbait out there for the Knicks community. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Thanks, Double A, for that one.
Jerry, where you at with the IQ injury?
Well, look, I all injuries suck. Like even when you flash that injury report tonight, even for both teams, it looks like Marketing's questionable. Collins got an illness, but we're entering that time of year. 'Tis the season, right? It's Christmas time. So injuries, guys are beat up. In a way, I'm sort of like, look, get them all out of the way now because we see how important it is to be healthy going into the playoffs. And I'd rather have them now than then. But I think everything we're saying, and even everything Phil said with Quickley, who, we were talking less than a month ago about Quickley. He's a two-way guy, and he's the only one who really throws the lobs to Mitch. Him and RJ kind of throw it. And it all comes back to that Fred Katz story. Is it becoming a situation now where guys are sort of not full-on Hunger Games, but, I got to get mine. I still don't know. I think somewhere in the middle is the truth. Because the team is winning. If the team was losing, that's where you really start to see all the warts come out. But we're still, I think, underachieving, but haven't hit our ceiling. But we're doing okay. And look, maybe this, hey, we're gonna play less defense and score more. Maybe that quells everything that everyone's complaining about. If that's really happening, I don't put a whole. I think it's there, but I do think we have good culture, which you got to credit Tibbs with in the front office. I think we have good dudes on the team who want more. I think more than anything, they want to win. And maybe you could say Quickley because of how the negotiations were handled and he hasn't gotten paid yet, but we all know he's going to get paid. So maybe he is having a little bit of that, but I don't know. Everything he says publicly is perfect. So I think it's there, but I don't think it's as bad as everybody says. And the injury scares me. And we need Quickley, because if this is his last year as a Knick, then let's go out with a bang.
Yeah. I want to ask you guys, and I'll throw it over to you, Celso, as well. Do you think the Knicks can keep up this offensive momentum with what they did in the last game against the Raptors? Is that our new Knicks going forward, or is it just a flash in the pan?
I don't know, man. I mean, how many of the last games we've put up points? We put up a lot of points.
We shot 58% from three versus the Raptors. That is not, for this team, sorry to interrupt, that is not sustainable winning.
No.
We can get hot for a month, but that's not like a sustainable, hey, we're the Pacers now. We got this juggernaut offense. It's just not sustainable. 58% from three? That's not.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Going back to the defense side, because you're always like, okay, it's okay if we're only scoring that 110, 115 points because we're counting on our defense holding them down under 100 points. But, guys, I mean, if I pull it up, even if we go back just as far as the Pistons game, Pistons scored 112, Raptors 106, Bucks 146, Celtics 133, Raptors 130. Like, I mean, that's not defense. We're giving up mad points. But I want to switch it real quick, and we didn't have this plan. There's no graphic for it. But I want to talk about Brunson because I'm seeing a lot of people talk about they're happy about the assists, but then you have the other half that like, why are we not talk about the fact that he has 7 turnovers, right? So everybody's kind of torn. Like, Brunson doesn't get a pass. If Randle's 7 turnovers, we all go in on it. Where are you guys at with how Brunson's been this last month? How we feeling? I'll start with you, Heck.
For me, when it comes to Brunson, we know Brunson's a scorer, right? So, I know there's people out there that want to see Brunson get about 8, 9, 10 assists. They look at what Halliburton is doing out there with the Pacers. We got to understand what our guys are, who we have, and what their game is. When it comes to Jalen Brunson, he is a score-first point guard, and he will pass you the ball when you have an opportunity to score. So I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. I don't want Jalen Brunson to try to get more assists because it may lead to extra turnovers. Is it a problem? I'm not too sure because when you got Julius Randle who can give you about 6 to 7, 8 assists, Jalen Brunson who can give you 6 assists, as long as the assists are being spread out evenly across the board when it comes to everyone, I'm happy with that. Would I like to see Brunson get a few more assists and not turn the ball over? Absolutely. Everybody would take that. But I know my guy is a score first guy. I know he could get that bucket, get that basket, and that's what I want him to focus on. Everything else to me, second nature.
Yeah, I think he's a little banged up too. I'm not saying that's an excuse. I think he's a little banged up, and high usage rate. Yeah, like the turnovers are going to be a problem. And but still, I don't think Brunson's been himself really all year, with the exception that he had like a great week, 10-day stretch. But I'm not saying I give him a pass, but I'm definitely not gonna bitch him out for the 7 assists because
Philly?
Yeah, so I think there's just concerns, because I feel like with as bad as our defense has been, like these last few games, I don't know that, like, especially in Mitch's absence, I don't know if we're going to be able to continue to match point-wise what we're letting teams put up. Like, if you look, the Raptors have not figured it out yet at all this season. Like, they have great players, but they are a mess. Like, they are a mess of a team right now. And the fact that we are battling tooth and nail with teams that are a mess really concerns me when we start playing against teams that are actually good in these next few weeks. Like, if we don't have the offensive rebounds to make up for the fact that we're not a great shooting team, that's concerning. Like, what are we going to do moving forward? Like, how are we going to fix that? And so I think that, yes, Jalen's been messed up, but the one thing I love about Jalen is accountability. Like, if you look at the post-game interview, what he said is, yeah, we won, but we could have actually blown these guys maybe out of the water if I was giving them the ball every time. And that's true, And so in the same way that I'm going to, call out Randle when he's got 6-7 turnovers of our 9 or 10 in that game, I'm going to hold Jalen Brunson accountable to the same. But when I look at it, I have to look at it as this is a one-off situation. Like, I have not seen a steady pattern of every few games where Jalen Brunson's giving up 7 turnovers. Like, if I got on Randle and was so hard on Randle the first time he did 7 turnovers, that's different than me going, how many games do we have to see this? Like, keep your head up. You're constantly turning over the ball. So with Jalen, I'm not going to hold him to the same level of accountability yet because we have not seen it as a pattern. But if we go 5 or 6 games and he's got 5 to 7 turnovers, then we need to start having some conversations. Like, that's an issue now. Like, it's not something, So I think that if our team continues to play, moving the ball, thinking selflessly, I think the turnovers will go down. I think Jalen Brunson struggles with, I've had bad games, I want to prove to the fans that I'm worth it, kind of mentality, where he then goes a little too hard. And I think that's what we saw in the last game, like him forcing some stuff, falling on the floor, the ball, bouncing off of his foot multiple times. So I just think that, like, if he levels himself, he'll get back to that Jalen Brunson. If we start seeing a pattern, then let's talk about it. But right now, I think it's too early to, like, complain about it.
Shout out Double A helping us keep the lights on. Who else got pumped when Julius slammed on Barnes?
Oh, yeah.
How you doing?
I almost got even more pumped when he almost hit that, like, under the rim reverse that he missed the dunk. That one was the one that maybe almost jumped out of the chair.
The pick.
Really quick, too, to put a button on the Brunson stuff, too, to Phil's point. Yeah, it's not a big enough sample size to be crazy. And also, not that this has a ton to do with it, but there is a new setter in the lineup who is part of the screening, part of the offense, and maybe it's just getting a little bit used to it. But I'll tell you what, tonight is a very, very important game because West Coast trips have never been great for the Knicks. The Jazz are a weird team. Like, they could beat anyone on any night, but they also could lose by 20 to anyone on any night. That's why I was talking when I saw those injuries. It's we go from there to, Phoenix, the LA swing, and then finish up with I don't even know who we fit.
Lakers.
We basically go Phoenix and then the Lakers swing. So the LA swing. So this would just be a good one to get tonight. Put one on the board because then you got 3 tough ones in a row. So this would be a good one to get. And then when you really look around, dude, I know this is like an obvious thing, and it's even more prevalent in the East, but there's really a noticeable difference at the lack of bad teams.
Yeah.
Like in the NFL, there's a flurry of bad quarterbacks. We all see it. There's go look around the schedule. We play Orlando, Brooklyn, Atlanta. Like it's really like the Pistons, the Wizards, the Grizzlies without Ja. And then like everybody else is, maybe not good, but solid. It could beat anyone on any night.
What was the report, Jay? I think it was like 9 out of our 10 upcoming opponents are all over 500 teams.
Well, yeah, just listen to that's what I'm saying. Like, the West Coast swing is Utah, Phoenix, LA, right? Then we go Brooklyn, then we get Milwaukee twice, which is insane. And both of those are 2 of our home games. Oklahoma City, that used to be a win. That's not. Orlando used to be a win. That's not. Indiana used to be a win. That's not. But then you got to go all the way to like Chicago, and there's still got some players over there. So I'm just looking at the schedule. I really could only like Houston is good. I really only see like Memphis, Washington, maybe Portland in the next like 15 games that I'm like, those are the ones we'll probably get.
And Ja might be back by the time we play Memphis.
Right, that's right.
Ja might be back. So we, and apparently one of the 2 games, either Brooklyn or our game, is the first game that Durant and Beal will play in the starting lineup together with Booker. So one of those 2 games is when they will finally see their whole
Phil, when I saw that tweet, most of the responses on that were, damn well it'll be against the Knicks. It'll be against the Knicks. Like, no question it'll be against the Knicks.
It sets it up perfectly. And I want to highlight Rebuild NYK. Salute to you. Let us know if this is the first time in the chat. If it's his first time, you know what to do. Welcome him to the familiar. He says, we need Brunson to facilitate, so there will be turnovers. People who overreact about turnovers don't understand the Knicks have a facilitator problem. Randle is our best playmaker. That's a problem. Yeah, I agree with you, and especially when it comes to the overreacting. It's New York City. It's the Knicks. Everybody's gonna overreact, my guy. Look at Tommy DeVito and the handshaking over there with the Giants. We overreact. It's in our nature.
We're worried about the Grizzlies 2.5, 3 weeks from now. That Ja's gonna be back. Like, we overreact. That's all we have.
So, real quick, I want to say something that I thought was like pretty cool. So we were talking about I'm bright as can be. We were talking about the Julius Randle dunk. One thing that I really loved about that video, when you watch it over and over again, is how pumped does iHeart get when he sees one of his teammates thrive? Like, whether it's IQ hitting a crazy 3, who's the one like, always screaming, freaking out? iHeart. Julius Randle gets a dunk. Who's freaking out? iHeart. RJ does something dope. That is like the ideal teammate is iHeart, because iHeart shows just as much emotion when he does something dope as when anyone else on the team does something awesome. Like, that guy celebrates his team like no other. And I love that, because I feel like sometimes throughout our team, players celebrate their moments, and then you'll see them kind of just like walk off when one of their teammates has a moment, like, it wasn't me, I'm not celebrating. But that guy celebrates the hell out of everybody. Yeah. And I'm like, yo, that's the kind of like DNA that I want to spread as wildfire on the Knicks team, is like that kind of mentality. Because if you look at old games, not even going back to the 90s, you look at the J.R. Smith Melo era. Anytime J.R. Smith did something crazy, everybody on the floor and the bench celebrated. Like, that was team celebration through and through. And so I feel like if iHeart could spread that DNA a little bit throughout our team, I would love to see that.
I told you, man. That's why, what was it, like last month when we were all together? I made the Mighty Ducks graphic with the Bash Bros. I was like, yo, iHeart is like the Mighty Duck Bash Bro. Like, every time you see him on there, even for his own stuff or just good plays or crazy quarterback passes he likes to do. I mean, the dude's a stud. Really is.
Yeah, no, he really is 100% when it comes to iHeart. He, like Phil says, he gives you that extra energy. He's going to be out there celebrating with his teammates, and enjoy Isaiah Hartenstein while we have him, because this offseason he gonna get the bag from somebody. Somebody's gonna pay that man to be the starting center for their team that's under 500. So enjoy Isaiah Hartenstein as you can.
But I don't know. Could you make the case though? I guess it is all about the money, and I probably would be too if I was in the NBA. But if it's a difference of like, okay, this team can pay you $8 million a year more, but you're going to Washington, right? Like, isn't there like just at some point, right? When does it get to that place of? I guess never, right? I'll say, like, look, you got enough money. You're gonna, you and your kids will live very, very well. Do you want to go play in Washington, or do you want to go stay in New York and try and win a championship? Like for me, I guess for me, and maybe I'm just an old man now. It's like if my kids are good, you know what? I want my grandkids to be good, but you know what? Those little shits can earn their own way. Like, I gotta make money for everybody for 4 generations to come.
But I think it comes down to
me. I got left with debt.
It comes down to the old man thing, right? When you're at that tail end of the career, that's when you're looking at all right, maybe I could take a little less. I want to chase a championship.
I'm getting
and all
sad
that.
for the fact that we might lose him, because it's like I think he's a championship player. Like
this
not
is very
your starter, but
I think Kuzma's a perfect example. Like
go ahead,
if iHeart's watching this like Kuzma situation, Kuzma said, "Nope, I want the bag. Before going anywhere else, I want the bag." And now he's stuck on a Washington team with porn stash Jordan Poole, who is all of a sudden absolutely horrible, and they are a horrible team. So I think iHeart would, I out of that comment between iHeart and IQ, I see us keeping iHeart before I see us keeping IQ, because I feel like IQ is going to get us more of a trade of what we need. We still need a backup big, and let's say we move Mitch. iHeart could start for us if we really wanted to. Like if we're looking for a big who can facilitate to our guys, like, and then we add a, actual power forward. I mean, a small forward, add an actual small forward to the lineup. I think iHeart is the perfect fit. Like, because iHeart is a very selfless player, but he can score and he can defend, maybe not defend to the point that Mitchell can, but we saw what happens when we don't have a big that just stands in the center. We saw what can happen with our guys in the paint.
Yeah.
So,
no, I get that. And to just, not switch the conversation, but I just want to ask you fellas this question, because this was a question or a conversation that was going on the Jeff Teague podcast. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the Club 520 podcast. It's a great listen. You guys, make sure you guys go tune in. But they were having a conversation. These are all former players asking themselves, that was saying, what would you rather have, a championship or a max contract? Jerry, if you was an NBA player, what would you rather have, a championship or that max contract?
Can I ask a question first?
Go ahead.
Like how much money have I made to this point?
There we go. Here's the caveat.
Like,
This is your first max contract, so you're coming off of your rookie contract, going into negotiations for that max contract.
Okay, so I made a few mil. I made a few mil already, right? But what's my if it's not I'm not like league minimum, right? Am I like mid-level?
You was a top 15 lottery pick, so you're getting the 5 to 10 million a season. Obi was getting like 10 million or something like that. So you're in the Obi topping range of 10 million a season.
I know people are gonna call bullshit. I'm going after the championship. Because I think like after your career is over, you could make more off that championship in broadcasting and in coaching or whatever. Like I think the championship, you still can make money off that. I don't know. I'm Gen X, so I don't know. I don't know if that's just. I mean, I'm old.
It's funny because I was gonna say, what city am I signing with, right? So then I can think about the money with my endorsements and stuff. But if we're in a little small city,
well, I don't know if I'm 25 years old and I've made some good money, but now someone's willing to throw $125 million. I guess I just get like, look, I get like changing your family's life. Where I lose it is like, I'm not thinking about my great grandkids and trying to change their life. Not that I don't give a shit, but I'm thinking about my kids, and then that's their problem. I can't go 4 generations down the line. What do you want from me? I'm one person.
All right. So
Phil, what's your thoughts on it? Me personally, I differ from Jerry. I'm going for the bag. If somebody wants to pay me,
I don't hate on it. I get it.
$30 to $40 million a season to be on a horrible team, pay me. I'll try to force my trade in a couple of years after getting that bag.
You're going too far. Doc Rivers said something on. Doc Rivers did say something on like the Bill Simmons podcast yesterday, I think, where it's like, when you're on a bad team and you're losing, you could see who the losers are. Meaning, like, the guys who don't really care, like what's going on with Washington, Detroit, like, you could probably, like, behind the scenes, they know who's not taking that level of losing personally.
Yeah.
And that shit matters.
Yeah. I think for me, there's a bunch of what ifs, because, like, I am a very competitive person. Like, I don't want to do something if I'm not trying to do it in excellence and win. But at the end of the day, is like, if I'm staying on that like team that is going to be a championship team, am I actually starting? Am I contributing? Like, am I building my value to eventually get, another contract that is good? If I'm playing like ninth man on a team, and I'm not building my value at all, and I'm getting a ring just to say that I sat on the bench and I'm Evan Fournier, like, there's no, like, I'm not.
He got a 48 in there.
You had to do it.
You had to.
I'm not getting a ring for like the croissants that I made backstage. Like, I'm not doing it. Like, I want for that, I get the bag. Like, if I'm not getting anything of actual value and I'm just getting a bunch of memories of sitting on the bench, like, I don't care about that championship. I didn't win that championship. I wasn't part of that championship team. I didn't like actually contribute to it. But if you're saying, oh, you're in the starting lineup of a winning championship team, then heck yeah, give me the chip. And then I'm going to use that as leverage to eventually get a bag down the road.
Hartenstein's a perfect example of this. Say the Knicks, now let's really play fantasy. This is not going to happen. But say the Knicks get to either Game 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals or make the finals this year, but fall short, right? They didn't win the chip, but they're like clearly now, hey, we're knocking on the doorstep. And if you're iHeart, now there's lots of money, or even Quickley. You can even use Quickley in this example. Like, there's lots of money to be made on the open market. And look, maybe it is another contending team, but usually it's a team trying to get to that point. Like, what do you do? If you know the Knicks are knocking on the doorstep but could only offer you this, but maybe the Washingtons of the world and, some other team, Memphis, some other teams like, hey, we could triple that. What are you doing?
If that's the case, and you trying to convince me to come back to go on that second run after we made it so close, I'm gonna need James Dolan to give me a few of his apartments that he owns in the city and around 34th Street.
Hector's trying to do side deals.
I'm just saying. You want me to take less money to come back to you? Cool. Give me 2 of your apartments, one that I can live for free, and the other one that I could rent out or do an Airbnb and make some money on the side.
Hey, look,
I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I would take the bag. All right. Listen, I would love to sit here and be like, you know what? I grew up as a kid. I was really always dreaming about a champion. Listen, my first contract, give me that super money and we'll go from there. Because you know what? Only one team wins a championship a year. It's tough every way. So great. Woo! Give me the money, Jerry. I want the money.
All right.
So it's not like you're going to be broke. You're not going to be broke.
Right. I'm going to be even unmore.
So you want to be like flying private only. You want 4 houses.
I'll still be super stingy, but I'm going to have that money.
Yeah, I'll still be my frugal self, but I want the money.
Shit. If Jerry, someone drops $25 million a year for 5 years in your lap, you ain't flying no coach on Spirit Airlines.
Jerry, if somebody drops that in my lap, I'm probably going to spend the majority of it on like Power Rangers memorabilia or like some Pokemon shit. That's what I'm gonna do. Like, I told you this before.
But Celso's trying to be the humble, like, I'm still gonna be the same guy.
Yeah,
he's
no,
gonna have $100 million in the bank.
No, he's not.
No.
Yeah, I'm saying he'll still be a good guy.
I've seen
He'll be a nice guy, but you're gonna do rich people things. You're gonna have a chef. You're gonna be flying private. You're gonna do all that good stuff.
Yeah, I would buy Monster and own the company.
No. I've seen Celso. I've seen Celso go from ramen noodles to actually like a hot pizza, and he acts like a different guy. So I don't think it's gonna happen.
It helps to have brothers on the show, right?
Yeah, let's be real.
Ramen noodles.
All right, real quick.
Don't be shitting on the breakfast that I'm about to have. I'm about to make me some ramen before this Jabba Chamberlain interview. So don't be shitting on the ramen.
That's coming up today too.
Real quick, everyone watching right now, we got 36 live on YouTube. We've had over 110 on Jerry's Twitter, our Twitter, a little bit more there as well. And I just looked. We are actually only 11 subscribers away.
Up 3.
So we gained about 10 during this episode. So if you guys could hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. We got 11 more to go to hit that 2K. So let's make it happen.
Okay, here you go. Do you want 11 more subs today? Or do you want 100 in super chats?
11 more subs today. I'm taking those 11 more subs. Shout out to Nelson. Shout out to Nelson.
You set to win, and that's your champion. You want to hit 2K at the end of the year. That's a championship, bro. That's a ring.
That was well played, Jerry. Well played.
See, man. I
Nelson.
Why do we have to go from ramen to steak, bro? Like
I just want to throw it out there. You know how it's Christmas time, and I know some people got the elf on the shelf or whatever. Just to let you guys know, Jerry, instead of having an elf on the shelf, he has a Fournier on the shelf. Right? Just so everybody knows. Okay.
Oh, guys, let's wrap it up real quick. Go around the room. We walking away with this dub tonight.
Get it. It's 7-19 Utah Jazz. I know we do amazing against teams that are under 500. We struggle against the teams that are over 500. So if I'm a betting man, I'm putting money on the Knicks tonight just for the win, not for the spread or anything like that, just for the win.
Yeah, I like them tonight, especially if we're going to be, at least for the next couple of weeks, in these shootouts. I like it a lot better without Jordan Clarkson. I don't root for injuries, but Clarkson is historically a guy who's hurt the Knicks and can get hot and win a game and drop 36. So I like it a lot better without Clarkson. There's a whole host of injuries, so we got to see how that shakes out. But we're banged up too. I do think we get to win. Hopefully we don't sleepwalk and they realize the importance of this game, because then we got 3 tough West Coast games coming. So I like the Knicks' chances tonight.
Yeah, I think for me, the determining factor is going to be if Lauren Markkanen is there. Because let's be real, our only real chance of stopping him completely is with Mitchell Robinson, because he's not going to drive in the paint like he does against a lot of other centers who, don't have a big presence in the paint. If he's available, he's a lethal threat inside and outside. And we already struggle with perimeter, so I feel like that would be hurtful. But if you look at who's questionable from them, our biggest thing is guarding the 3-point line. Clarkson's out, Kessler's out, Markkanen questionable. So that's 3 3-point shooters on the Jazz that we don't have to worry about. Once again, like you guys said, I don't root for injury. But if we're assessing the game based off of who's available, I see us getting the W with those guys out. I feel like if Markkanen is, actually playing, then it could be a lot closer than we think.
I want the win, obviously, for the win. I also don't want to see the timeline if we lose. Okay, like this needs to be the game we just win. Do not give up the crazy amount of points that we've been giving up. But it's definitely in our favor. Appreciate everybody in the chat. You guys always show up and show out. Make sure you hit that like, hit the sub, all the good stuff that we do. Coming up.
2 away.
2 away.
2?
2 away. No way.
Did I read that right?
Let's see. I'm going in the YouTube studio right now.
No, we start at 1989. We still
sorry, I'm dumb. So, never mind.
Yay! Guys, coming up at 1:00, we've got Jabba Chamberlain coming on right here. Knicks Morning Brew, little Yankees interview action. We got Jets Evening Brew tonight. Appreciate everybody always rocking with us. And on that note, deuces.
Deuces.